you, we're not meant to do life alone. Community is so important and so necessary. This has been a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and I'm just getting the second to record a video about it. But this has been an ongoing theme in my life and the conversations that I'm having with people. And so I want to take a second and talk about that because I feel that veterans, people transitioning out of the military, specifically women, they tend to feel a little bit more disconnected or lost as soon as they leave the military because of the lack of community. So, you don't know me. My name's Karen. I was in the Navy for 14 and a half years active duty. Then I transitioned to the reserves. I've been out for a few years now. And the sole purpose of this channel is to kind of walk you through the transition process, through how to make things a little bit easier, hopefully. I believe knowledge is power. And so knowing something can help make the process easier. So, community. Um, I feel like this is an underrated part of the military because it's forced on you. You find it in all aspects of service, of your life, of what's what I'm looking for? Of your unit. Like it's ingrained. You never take the uniform off. You wear you're in uniform 24/7. You eat, shit, sleep, you know, do everything with these people, whether you like them or not. And so community is like super ingrained in the military. And the second that you transition out, that's a major aspect that's removed. And I hear it from a lot of my friends. I experience it as well too. Most people will say, um, I just don't feel like I know these people. I have friends who go to school and they're like these kids that I'm in school with because they might feel like they're the oldest one in the class or they're behind. Like I just don't connect with them. They're younger than me, or civilians just don't understand. Um, People that move back home and you have left home, you've seen things in a whole different light. And then you go back to your hometown and everything's the same, but you're not. And so you have a hard time kind of plugging in. And the reason that this came up, and it's been something that's been like circulating, I had a conversation with a friend a couple weeks ago. Um, he's someone that I served with. If you need a realtor in Virginia, I will plug his information in the comments. Um, we were hanging out, we went to the beach, and while we were talking, he was talking about community and how he kind of just like stayed in the same area that he had served in, but moved into a different community because he became a realtor. And his friendships changed, due for different things. And so this conversation about community came up, and I was sharing with him how I was really grateful that when I transitioned out, I was gifted almost a community because I went into like this wellness community. And that for me made the transition a lot easier because I had an instant like plug and play group of people. So that wasn't an aspect that affected me nearly as much. It did in other areas, but not so much in that. So I had an instant group of friends. And so he has been out now for a couple years, and so he was saying how he's seeing that like now he's in a networking group, he's in involved in church, and he's involved in like all these other things, and so how he's finding that community in that group. And I just I feel like we don't realize that we literally were not created to do life alone. You, for as much as you think that you can toughen through it and bravo through all that life, the reality of it is we need people to fall back on. We need support. It doesn't need to be in the sense of like, I had a horrible accident and someone's going to take care of me. Sometimes it's literally something as simple as, hey, you doing anything? A 3 minute, 4 second conversation, like all of that makes a really big impact. And so, um, it helps you feel less alone. So it by default, I'm going to help with depression, which is something that's super high with veterans and service members, because I noticed that even with my guys and girls, my sailors, that even though they had this community, the ones who felt isolated, the ones who felt like they didn't have that, had a lot harder of time um, acclimating to life in the military, had a harder time at work, had a harder time outside of work. They didn't go out of their ways. And so, something that helped me that I wanted to share when we moved to Norway, I was told that the weather and the climate and everything like that was similar to Whidbey Island. Whidbey Island was my first duty station. It was a very difficult duty station for me because I was a 19-year-old, 18-year-old female coming from New York City, going to like my version of the boondocks. You need to have a car. I didn't even have a driver's license. At the time, they had gotten rid of the ability to get a driver's license until you turned 18, and I turned 18 and then joined the Navy. So um, you had to be 21 and over to do anything in New York City. You literally are 18 and you can do whatever the hell you want, 16 even. And so that was like a big shift for me. Um, and so when I was told that Norway was going to be the same, I mentally went into it thinking, no, I'm going to make this better, because I also had a really hard time with the weather in Whidbey. Um, I now know that, there was like seasonal depression, like that was probably part of it. Um, it's very gloomy, not a lot of sunlight. And so I went to Norway and I was like, I'm going to load myself with the vitamin D's. I'm going to make sure I go outside. I'm going to join all the communities. I'm going to do all the things. And I just went into it with this very like, I'm going to get in it. And my time in Norway was amazing. I genuinely think that what made the experience so amazing was the fact that I attacked it as like a mission. Like it was my mission to not repeat the same thing. But I went into it with a very open mind of like, if someone invites me to do something, I want to do it. And so I hiked for the first time in my life. And it was the most amazing thing the entire time that I was in Norway, hiking in those gorgeous mountains. I picked up knitting. It's super common over there. So I picked up knitting. It was relaxing. It was cool to learn how men knit in Europe. And so um, I, joined two different like groups, like one from base and one from outside of base. And so I expanded my friend circle or my people that I knew from like one person to like way more than 50. And so when I came back here to Virginia, even though I had lived here already, and even though I had friends here, I told myself I was going to do the same thing. And so I now am in a different season of my life. I'm a mother, I have kids. And being a veteran stateside versus overseas is very different as well too. And so that's something that I want to encourage you to do. Join a community. Is it easier if it's a veteran community? Yes. Is it necessary? No. I know people that have completely disconnected from the veteran world, and for them that was easier. My communities are cross affiliated with the military, maybe. So there's like some overlap because this is a very military, like heavily military populated area, but for the most part are civilian. And I personally enjoy that because it gives me a different perspective. Um, Again, they're cross affiliated, so they do understand to some degree the military stuff. And so that's something that I would highly recommend. Um, Another thing, the reason, sorry, that I would recommend that is, sorry, I'm like looking at notes so I didn't sound all scatterbrained. The reason I recommend that is because you need to be around people that get you. Um, Even if they don't get you, that support you. And usually that happens with common interests. And so I don't remember. I think it was Mel Robbins. The Let Them Theory book was the most recent one that I read. I'll link it in the comments. She shared how when the older we get, the harder it is to make friends, not on purpose, but because of the proximity aspect. And there's like a couple different layers that she talks about. But when you're in school, like we're talking about before military, right? Like high school, junior high school, all that other stuff, you spent all day in school. So the majority of your friends were people that you spent 8 to 10 hours with. Plus, there was like after school activities, or you lived near them in the same neighborhood. So there was this volume of time. Same thing with the military. You join the military, and these are people that you deploy with, these are people that you work with, that you eat with, that you're in a different state with. So those are people you're going out with. Like by default, that's where your community is. Now you transition out, you're an older age, you're in a different lifestyle. You might have some battle wounds, whether that's your PTSD, whether that's, not trusting everybody, whatever it is that you might have. So your association with these people is not going to be as much. You jump into the workforce, and so that should be your group of people, right? That you'd spend the most time with, that you'd have as friends. But the reality of it is that we're all in different seasons of our lives. And so she breaks it down how, like, there's all these different things that make it difficult because you might not be in the same season of life. You might be a supervisor, might be subordinates, whatever it is. And I really appreciated the way that she broke it down because it makes you realize that like common interests become a bigger thing. And so finding that community again is so important because you're going to have to physically come out of your way to do that. In other words, it's not going to just find you like it did in the military. It's going to be something that you're going to have to go and be proactive about. Join a VFW, join American Legion, find groups online. I am part of an amazing women veterans group and I run a book club with them. And so those are ladies that I have been in contact with for over a year now because I started the book club, or I started running the book club when I was pregnant. So it's been over a year. And these are ladies that I've learned to have connections with. We recognize they've done life with me. We've vented. The moderator group, or even closer, we did a Secret Santa together. Like these are things that help kind of bridge that gap. Uh, I, while I was in Norway my first year, my online community was what sustained me until I found my in-person one. And then my in-person community allowed me to create an in-person community here too. Church is super important. Join a community group, join a célula, like whatever it is that small groups, whatever it is that your church does that you don't believe in God, find God. No, I'm kidding. Um, find another group and interest. There's just so many things out there in different ways to find community. My husband has tennis, and so he had a tennis community in Norway. He has a tennis community here. Like all of those things create that community aspect to where you're not feeling alone. These are people that you're going to be leaning on for everything. Hey, my car broke down. Hey, I'm having a hard day. Anybody want to grab a cup of coffee? Like go for a beer, whatever it is. And so it helps kind of reduce the loneliness, like I mentioned before, reduce depression. Um, you're not gonna feel lonely because you have a community. And they're also going to help with other aspects as well too. There's a community here who meets on 3 times a week. It's a mom group that walks at the park. That's it. I mean, 3 times a week, you're going to go walk, which is your accountability to stay active. Do you know what I mean? Like, just start thinking outside the box. What are your interests? And if you think that you have none, go find one. I had never hiked a day in my life before I went to Norway. I think I might have knitted a few times in Colombia as a kid with my aunt, maybe. I feel like maybe she did cross stitch, not knitting. Um, but I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna open my mind to this. When I came here, uh, I, I have two littles, like children, and so I don't know what you do with two little kids. So I joined mom groups. I went to the library. I've gone to like different events. Like I've opened myself up to like, all right, well, what do you do with kids? Okay, I guess this is what we're trying. Is it all gonna hit? No, you're gonna have some duds. That's normal, but that's what's gonna help kind of like get you out of your head. Um, you just really need to be intentional. Uh, and the other reason I bring it up is because I'd love to be part of your community as well too. Shift transition. Um, I I feel like you just need one person, and then that person might be that connection to everything else. Um, I know people that have just their five closest friends, and I know people that have thousands. Um, it's really just like your personal preference. I think starting with one helps because that might open you up. And I say this because I know that I was very jaded from my time in service. And so my trust lever was what you see me going back and forth was super low. Um, and it's different than my husband's. He says I trust fully and then I pull back, whereas he trusts nothing and then he kind of gradually gains. I'll give people the benefit of doubt, but I'm not just like opening myself up right away. Uh, and that's just something that, I've learned. I've done burnt. I'm sure you have as well too. And so the reason I bring that up is because there are a lot of safe spaces, and I'd love to be one of those for you. And that can be whether it's just a one-on-one call. You can drop your comments your section. I can share different resources. There's so many different groups that you can plug into. Like I said, I mentioned a few of them already, and I can try to look up links and put them in the comments as well too. But I just really wanted to encourage you to let you know that you're not alone, even though you might feel like it. Um, find a community. It doesn't need to be veterans. It can be completely whatever interest you might have. Pick up a new interest. You can find it at your local library. You can Google search them. It can be online, it can be in person, whatever floats your boat and whatever is comfortable. Um, but I genuinely believe that that is one thing and one aspect that is so valuable to be connected with people, and that I think will reap the most benefits long term and make your transition the easiest and the smoothest. So if you have any communities and you'd love to share them, please put them in the comments. If you know something that's helped you, a tip or something that you want to hear about, please share that in the comments. I will be trying to be more consistent with the videos and trying to post more as well, just transitioning in life. And so we're working with it. Just to close it off, uh, you're not alone. You don't have to go about life on your own. And if you're feeling that way, please know that there are resources. There's someone who is thinking of you. There's someone who wants to hear from you. And there's someone who is out there looking for you, like as a friend, as a partner, as whatever. Um, so please take that to heart. Find your community. They're out there looking for you as well too. And if you'd like to reach out to me personally, please do so in the comments and I'll send you a DM. And I think the link in my profile has all the info, but I will double check that as well too. If not, I'll put it in the comments. So be encouraged. Community, community, community. You were not meant to do life alone. We were meant to be in community. And that is part of the reason that I think that as a society, we are so lonely. So let's get to it.